So we're talking about difference. So I just have to put that in, otherwise it'll make no sense. Now, Irving Goffman talks about the sense of self, and we have no perception of who we are until we have an interaction with someone else, and it's the interaction with another that defines who we are. So, for instance, you have a perception of who you are, I have a perception of who I am. Now, that is only validated if you sit and you continue this conversation in an agreeable fashion. So if I sit with you and say these things that I say about myself and you disagree, then to you, I am not that. Does that make sense? And I think that with cultures and ethnicity, that's what it is we've been defined. So it's like black people have been defined by what white people in the past have projected onto them.
Yeah.
And this is what the lecturer in race and ethnicity talks about, is the black identity has been formed by how whites have treated them in the past.
Yeah.
And it's why whites like your Donald Trumps perceive themselves as superior, because they've pushed down everyone else who isn't white and male.
Yeah, that's
and
world
that
heritage.
comes from that difference, that sense of... So Goffman is just an absolute genius.
He sounds very clever.
He's unbelievable. Blow my mind. But people disagree with that. Because it's like, here's a good one. I use this one as well, because I always try to dumb down things for as simple as I can for my brain. It's like, we're sat here as a male and a female of a species. Now, we only have a sense of difference that you're a woman and I'm a man, because there is a difference. So I only know, in essence, I'm a man because you are a female.
Right.
If females didn't exist, if you didn't exist, I would only understand myself as something alive, that breathed, that was a presence, that there was a being. I wouldn't appreciate that I was male or a man, because I would have nothing different to compare with. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You're looking like I'm a bit...
No, but I'm a bit like, I would wish that people would just be a sense of self, and that we wouldn't be that controlled about genders and stereotypes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's more socially, because it sounds like what you're talking about is more biologically. Because I'm just like, I wish the people could feel entitled to be whoever they want to be, and that's why I'm so happy that right now there's a lot of media coverage, and basically you see people coming out as transgender, as transsexual, and they are for the first time ever allowed to be themselves to a great extent than they have been before. And I'm so happy to be living in this age where people are allowed to be them, and therefore I'm kind of opposed this male or female kind of thing, because then you got intergender people and pan fluid people who just like they don't conform to the stereotype that there's only male or female. So I think it extends beyond that. That's why I looked at you a bit skeptically, because I was a bit like, well, I have actually said I'm female, so I can't take that back. But unless I had it, we don't know if I see myself as female. You do. The world do.
Yeah.
Might not.
Yeah.
Is it
No. Oh, yeah.
perception?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yeah.
That's what maybe inflicts on you personally what you feel as if you're meant to be.
Okay. But I also perceive myself as a human being.
Yeah.
You know, not just male.
Yeah.
But
on top of that.
But reading Goffman and understanding what he says, that my perception of being male requires a difference. So that difference throughout any species is there is a male and a female.
Okay.
You know, the only times that I think that there isn't that is types of worms that are asexual, aren't they? They can do. So there has to be. So I think I just use male and female as it's interesting that you disagree with that, because I'm showing my ignorance now. Is that there has to be some difference. I think what I'm trying to say, and that's why I know I'm a man.
Yeah, no, I agree that there's some differences, but I don't think it's as black and white. I don't think there's only male or female. I think gender is all about personal. I mean, I think that's something that every single person kind of defines on their own. So I think there's 7 billion people, and I think there might as well be almost like 7 billion genders. Almost, it all comes down to the person, what they feel. Because I think now we're in that age when we realise that it's not that black and white. That biology actually isn't sacred anymore. There's more to it. There's no social and emotional feelings involved, and I find that immensely fascinating.
Okay. Now I get you. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So biologically,
Yeah.
But intellectually, in the mental side, there is great. Yeah, and I suppose you could equate that to me saying the masculine and feminine, how predominantly the feminine has won out over the masculine. So although I am a man and I am tub thumping, chest thumping, there's a stronger feminine element.
Yeah. And that's,
But yeah, biologically I am.
Yeah. But when it comes to psychology, you're not all male. And I find that really fascinating. And that adds on to how complex the human brain really is. I mean, in a sense, yes, we're like conformists and all this and all that. Also, we're so unique and everyone's got this amazing psyche. And that's why, as we were talking about earlier, no, there's not a single human being that's boring. Not a single human being. I don't like that.
No.
Maybe Trump.
There probably is a few, but I know what you mean. If you can just tap into something, then yeah, we all have an interesting start. And funnily enough, I was talking to a chap working in a cafe where I live, and I was saying this very same thing, how if you just spend the time listening, you can find interesting elements. Now, one of the gentlemen a gentleman I know, I've got to be careful because I don't want to. Now, I think he's quite an introverted character, and if you were not willing to listen, you might consider that person not to be particularly interesting. However, he's doing experiments to try to improve his eyesight by using it. If he listens to this, he'll know who it is anyway. But so what I'm trying to get at is spending the time to listen to this chap design this instrument that flickers light at a certain frequency, apparently triggers things in the brain that will improve his his eyesight, because he says that actually the eyesight, it's something in the brain. It's not necessarily the eyes are bad, it's in the brain. So he's told me about these experiments that he's doing. Now, taking the time to listen, that is incredibly fascinating.
Are they working?
He says he's had moments where he doesn't have to use his glasses.
Oh, wow.
So he says they're only really brief.
Okay.
But he says it's made a difference. So the fact that but this machine apparently, I don't know the full ins and outs of it. He says it doesn't exist. It kind of the blueprints don't exist anymore, and it's a really ancient machine and all this sort of stuff.
Oh wow, I want to speak to this man.
But it's really fascinating to find out that he's taken it upon himself to research this on the internet, to find out studies that say that short-sightedness actually is not necessarily bad eyes. It could be something in the brain.
Peculiar. But I mean, it is. It's got nothing to do with your lens, as far as I'm concerned. It's something about the connection.
Yeah, I think I don't know the full ins and outs because I haven't studied it.
I did science, so.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so because you've got your central, where you go, essentially what controls your eyes in the back of your head. So you know, you can hit your head really hard, you can become blind, things like that. So when it comes to short-sightedness and what do you call it? Short-sighted. Call it. Well, there's
long-sighted.
Long-sighted, yeah, probably is.
I don't know the technical terms.
Yeah, no, but that's how. And then there's yet another point of it, and that's how it's connected in your brain, in the back, in the central. And if something goes wrong, or as you grow older, it sort of starts deteriorating. That's why your eyesight deteriorates as well. And then it could be lens, you know, if you've got, I don't know the condition in Swedish, but when you get, when it becomes as if you've got like mud on your eyes.
Okay, yeah, those little spots.
Yes, exactly. That's your lens, so you can move your lens a bit. But yeah, no, eyes aren't that fascinating. Not when I talk about them.
No, but it is. But that's what I mean. But that's the thing about just what we were saying. It's like everyone, if we're willing to just have that connection, get back to connections, conversations, communication, being brave, bearing your soul, talking to someone in person, everyone has got an interesting element. You know, their daily life may not necessarily be interesting because we're working, we're going home, we're cooking food, we're work, blah, blah, but there will be elements of their life that are interesting. And taking the time and listening to this chap talk about what he's doing in the experiments, it's very, very interesting. So yeah, but I would never have found out if I hadn't started talking.
No,
That's the beauty of it.
Exactly.
The chap in the calf. The first time I walked into the calf, he looked really tired, and I went, "Have you been out partying?" Blah, blah. He goes, "No, I always look like this." But it's like been a couple of weeks now, and I found out that actually he's into jazz. He's opened some kind of advertising thing or something, like design.
I almost sound like La La Land. When you were talking about jazz. It's a film, with Ryan Gosling.
I've seen it. It's really good.
I was like, wow.
I cried. I cry at things like that. It's weird. It's weird. I've never been a crier, but I cry at really silly things all the time, and I'm happy to. It's like, so La La Land, I cried. I went to see. What did I go to see? I went to see a stage show. What was it? Strictly Ballroom. I went to see Strictly Ballroom, and I cried at that. And there was two ladies sat next to me, and I was doing that typical man thing like that. And the lady looked over and went, "Are you crying?" And I went, "I might be."
Oh yeah. Oh my god! That's when you reach out a hand and you'll be like, "Oh, are you okay?"
I know, I do. I do cry at really silly things, soppy things.
That's beautiful, because I always struggle with crying when I'm watching films or stage shows or anything. For me, when something when you feel as if something just struck a chord within you, and that for me could be like listening to music and you hear a certain tone, or you hear a certain inspiration when a singer is singing some song or whatever, and you just feel it, and that's when I just like, whoa. That could be like on my way to work and I hear a new song and I'm just like, oh, that hit home, and then it just starts flaring. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. It's a little bit of life, isn't it?
It's weird.
Like, I'm going to weep. Mind you.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't necessarily cry as such. It doesn't mean that I am quite emotional and I have deep feelings, but I'm not a crier. I cry at silly little things like that. But yeah, I don't. I can't. Someone wouldn't ruin my life, and I would sit there with my hands on my head in my hands, crying about it. I'm not that kind of crier. But like I say, watch La La Land, and I'm like, oh God, it's so beautiful.
I wish I was that kind of crier, because then people would not think of me as like a stoat. I'm like, it takes so much for me to eventually just break, and then I just sob.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a mess. It's a mess.
But crying isn't.
Healthy.
You don't. Yeah, it is healthy, but you don't have to cry to prove that you have emotion.
No.
You don't need to cry to have empathy.
No.
You don't need to cry to show affection and love. So it just happens to be who you are. I think maybe for me, I've not analysed it, to be honest. I'm just trying to come up with something now. Maybe why I cry maybe is the fact that I've allowed masculinity not to win.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to admit that I cry.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know if that. I'm just coming up with something.
It makes a lot of sense, because I've always said, you can ask my mates. I've always said that I will never ever date a man who can't cry, because that for me is so vital that they have that sort of insight and they feel as if they are able to let loose of that painful, awful, twisted sense of masculinity and actually cry, because human beings do cry.
Have you ever watched Friends? Yeah. But you can go a bit too far. Do you ever remember the episode where it was either Monica
or when dated the
guy, she dated a guy that cried every time he orgasmed.
Oh my god! Oh wow, that's a fire! I
Can you imagine every time you make love? You're like, oh, it's good for you, my darling.
I thought you were talking about the Bruce Willis, or is that the same guy? When Bruce Willis comes on it, and and she's like, we need to break him down. There's got to be something soft within him. Jennifer Aniston's
I can't remember that one, but go on,
she's
go on,
saying him, and then eventually she breaks him, and then he won't stop crying and talk about his issues. And she's like, oh my god, I opened the floodgate.
Yeah, you ladies, you need to be careful what you wish for. You need to be careful.
No, I don't want either. If he cries when he orgasms, I'm like, no mate, this will not work. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna cry. And if you get a Bruce Willis kind of thing, it's just like, if it does not pass, it's just like, I'm just gonna hand you into this cycle. Am I not? Like, you need professionals.
No, I know what you mean. Again, balance.
Yeah, exactly, balance. Yeah. But to be able to cry, because I remember the boyfriends I've had, they've all been able to cry. So I've been like, good, you're human. I don't know why it's so important, but I think that's just that's something that society shuns so much about men. It's like, you can't cry.
Yeah.
When you do cry, I'm like, you've got courage, you've got integrity, you've got feelings. Thank God. Thank God. Yes. We're on.
No, it's true. But again, it comes back to what we're saying about masculinity and the definitions. And I think for as much as being at university and hanging around with the younger ones and seeing a lot of the issues that they're going through, and that connection is a big one, I do see, apart from the gym and the masculine side, which is that hasn't improved, I do see more and more guys willing to be less stereotypically masculine, which is a good thing.
That's lovely.
Which is a good thing.
I think that is becoming a thing. I'm just really worried about there being a backlash again, because whatever society brings us, there's always a backlash. Like with feminism, you had the 60s, you had the 70s, and then boom, went straight back. And I'm afraid of that. I don't want it to come soon enough. I'm like, wait until I'm in my 30s or something. Let me enjoy my 20s. That they're going to push even harder on the male stereotype that you can't have feelings. Because I'm really bothered about that. And that's why I hate when people get the misperception about feminism. Like, oh, but you don't give a fuck about men. It's like, excuse you, but we really do.
Yeah, but it's not about men.
No. First and foremost, it's about females, because we want to live a normal life for once. We want to have the same rights as you do, and I don't think that's radical at all. I think that should have been a given, so stay on. But apart from that, you've got these men rights activists who, like, their purpose is to tear feminism down by saying that, but how about men? It's like, but don't you see that by us telling you that you're allowed to have feelings, you can be a stay-at-home dad, you can do whatever you want to be as well. These norms are destructive for both of us. We want to obliviate both of them. That's beneficial for you as well. Come on, catch on. But then I guess, again, if you build your life around the norms, which basically every single human being does, I think more people do than don't, then obviously if that were to fall apart, who would you be? You'd have an identical crisis, obviously.
I think the way you would stop the backlash is it requires really strong people to be in the positions of influence that will reject that. Because again, because we're living in a world that is influenced massively by celebrityism or fame or whatever, you need people in those positions that can push back against that.
And I feel
to tell the world that it's okay to be.
I find that very empowering, because I find as if the majority of artists that are currently active are very vocal about human rights and about female rights. Well, I mean, they're the same thing essentially, but the fact that they bring that on to themselves and that they're not afraid, and a lot of them are like, because publicity is a very important thing, and as you said, when fame goes, it goes forever basically, so you need to enjoy your high while you got it. So for them to come out and say, actually, no, I'm a feminist, I believe in this, even though it's kind of radical still, immense respect for them, immense respect, and I think that makes a lot of difference, because I no longer meet girls my age who's like, oh, feminism is stupid, or they're fat, butchy people with unshaved armpits. It's like, no, they look like me as well. They're all of us.
No, I agree. I think one of the difficulties of you saying the artist is, which I think is changing. I think this is where technology and the internet is beneficial. Is previously to become successful as an artist, whatever that may be, you have to play the game.
Yes.
And if the game says that you have to be stereotypically masculine or stereotypically a woman, you have to become successful, make your money, and then you can talk.
Exactly.
Because if you disagree with the status quo, you don't become wealthy, you don't become famous, you don't get your 5 minutes in the sun.
You need to conform first.
But I think that's perhaps one of the benefits of the internet and technology is the fact that actually you can have a voice before becoming. You may not get as successful, but you can still create a little world of success for yourself and the people you know, and still be vocal.
But it's a bit Machiavellian as well, the fact that you can reach fame going the old-fashioned way, where you conform to everything and then you can break loose. Once you get that power.
That still seems to be the norm.
Yes,
I would argue.
But also, it's kind of catchy to be political nowadays.
Yes.
It's kind of the thing, so I get why a lot of celebrities jump the gun on that one. But I condone that. I'm willing to look past the fact that it might be a PR thing because I think it will lead to good things. I'm a therapist socialist right now because it will lead to good things.
I think the difficulty for the term celebs, famous people who are political, and when they're talking about issues that affect masses like poverty and inequalities, I think they must be in quite a difficult position because people who are poor are looking at them and going, how dare you say that? You live this wonderful lifestyle and blah, blah, blah. But like you're saying, we need to perhaps reframe that and say, yes, they're living this lifestyle, but at least they're highlighting it. And it's a start. And it's a start that people in positions of influence are talking about it. Okay, they may not necessarily understand what it's like to be poor and in poverty, but at least they're being brave and willing to say it. And we maybe need to reframe that a little bit.
And kind of debunk the idea that celebrity is the norm. It's not. People
it's not
live
the norm.
those lives, and I think that's very important to bring to the table because people need to be aware. Well, celebrities need to let others know that it's not normal. You're not supposed to have this wealth. It's not normal, and you're not a failure for not having it. And I think this sort of like people being so desperate for success is just like. Again, it's toxic. That won't bring you happiness.
No, it's spiralling into creating greater levels of anxiety and depression and, let's say, loneliness. And that's why it's refreshing to hear the likes of Brand and a mystery ex-Hollywood actor admit that it's not real and the best thing that they can do is survive. That's really refreshing. You know?
Absolutely.
I'd still like to have my 15 minutes in Hollywood fame, earn the money, and then not have to worry about life. But but I think I would also be aware that actually it isn't real. And it's not real. But
it's a pipe dream.
But I also think there is a large percentage still that do get caught up in it. But it's good. And there was something I was going to ask you, but it's completely and utterly gone. And it was something you talked about a while ago. I can't remember. It'll come back to me. It's my age.
Was it during the cake break?
No, it was when we were talking. Something came, but then I got distracted listening to you again, and it just went. Because that's what I mean. I've just relaxed my brain because I'm not having to constantly make the conversation.
That's nice, isn't it?
So my brain's gone into kind of listening mode, and not the constantly thinking.
That's like that. We're actually having a conversation.
It's good. I've loved it. This has just been. I nearly went then. It's been the best. I've had a great 1 hour and 41 minutes.
That's not bad. Have fun editing that.
I know, it's quite good. There won't be that much, obviously the big pause.
Crumpets.
I don't know, I might leave that in because it kind of gives a sense of reality that we're actually sat in a cafe.
True.
And we're not in a studio pretending to have
and giving conversation. No. I've absolutely loved it.
Good. So have I. It's been a pleasure. Are we coming to the end? Do we say our goodbyes? Weeping our hands. Well, we shall end it now then anyway. Because sometimes then you kind of force the conversation. But thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I've absolutely enjoyed it.
And I look forward to editing and putting it up. I'm actually not working this weekend, so I'll be able to edit this weekend.
No way.
So I might be able to get it up at the weekend.
Brilliant. You need to send me your blog.